You talked about painting and
Mediumistic painting.
Mediumistic painting, and what happened? What was your experience?
Mediumistic painting was what was my experience? I mean, when I did it for the first time,
Mhm.
or when I did it. I mean,
When you were doing it, you told me.
About mediumistic painting.
So you took an example. When you were doing that painting or something, something happened.
Right.
What happened?
I've done 3 or 4 mediumistic paintings till now, and surprising enough, all are women-centric. I mean, this. What is the thing about mediumistic painting, which many people won't agree? They would say it is just your brain that is guiding you. Yes, it is logically the brain is guiding you, but I wouldn't say it is the logical mind that is guiding me. There is an intuitive mind that's guiding me, or maybe my subconscious is guiding me. Whatever, I mean, if I say that way. Because if it is a debatable concept, yes, it is a debatable concept, but in 3 instances I have found that if you do past life regression therapy, and which I have already done in quite a number of times, and I have seen that the 3 paintings are somehow or the other, they are connected to some of my past lifetimes. Otherwise, it can be some other way also. It could be just a channeling form. And channeling means you are receiving messages from the other dimension, which you receive because your right brain hemisphere is very active, and then you receive, the intuitive mind is active, and you receive the messages through your subconscious, and which you translate into a painting. So you act as a medium, the way you do planchette. When you're doing a planchette, you are acting as a medium, and you're receiving the messages from the other dimension, the spiritual world or the spirit world. And you use the Ouija board to receive or write the message. For mediumistic painting, you are acting as a channel for manifestation, or maybe manifesting the image that is coming to your mind. It's a kind of a thought form that you're putting onto the canvas, and you're creating it. And most of the cases, you get to see a very lifelike form, and ultimately turns into some kind of a portal. Portal is a gateway between our dimension and the other world, or the other dimension, which is more what we call it is paranormal world, the paranormal side.
So these like mediumistic painting, when you start painting something, you don't know what is going to come out.
Yeah, for mediumistic painting, you don't know. It's like you act as a medium, and you're sitting with a canvas, or you're sitting with a paper. Now, anybody would say that, okay, fine, if I'm using just my imagination, that is also mediumistic painting. No, that is not so.
Okay, and like you drew reference to the planchette in terms of being the medium. Okay, so planchette is a Western concept, right?
I can't say that, because if you see in our country, Rabindranath Tagore used to be active in case of planchette thing. He had actually, so far as I have heard, I have read, that he had practiced it a number of times to communicate with Kadambari Devi, his sister-in-law, deceased sister-in-law.
Who's also his muse.
Yeah, true. So that's what I've heard, and I've read it too.
So in a planchette, what are the things that you need to do a planchette?
See, I have seen one of my teachers doing a planchette activity with an Ouija board, and we were all sitting around her in the class, and we were watching her doing it, and then she was communicating whatever messages she had been receiving, and she was actually communicating. She was acting as a medium.
So you need a Ouija board, you need on a table. What else?
See, for planchette, I mean, see, frankly speaking, I've never done a planchette, I've just seen it. And if you want to do spirit communication, you don't even need an Ouija board also. You can straight up, if you are confident enough, and if you have that thing, you can actually hold basically a crystal in your hand, or maybe any kind of object in your hand, and you can actually communicate with the other dimension. If you are confident enough, and if you are very much into the practice of meditation, or rather I should say the dynamic meditation, which activates both the hemispheres of the brain, where you have your right brain hemisphere, which will be active, that intuition part, as well as the logical brain, the left brain hemisphere. You have both functioning at a proper pace. Then you can actually communicate directly with the other world. You don't need a Ouija board at all. You can straight away do it. In fact, you can hold an obsidian mirror, or maybe you can place a black mirror in front of you, or maybe just a mirror in front of you, and it can act as a portal, and you can actually communicate with the spirit world. That you can do.
So you said that you were taught how to open portals, right, using stones. What is the process? How do you do it?
See, you open portals, I would say, meditation. I mean, certain forms of meditation, when you're meditating, you can actually connect with the other dimension. In the process, you might open up portals if you can do it properly. That is the main thing I would say regarding.
How many stones do you use?
At times I don't use any stone at all.
Oh.
I just use the Kuber Mudra.
Okay, the Kuber Mudra.
The Kuber Mudra.
Posture.
The Kuber Mudra, the hand mudra.
Right.
I use the Kuber Mudra.
Okay.
It's a 3-finger technique, and I'm a silver practitioner, silver mind control method. I'm a silver practitioner.
Okay.
So we were taught the 3-finger technique, and that is also this is the mudra. This is the Kuber Mudra. So by doing this 3-finger technique and with the back counting, like 100 to 1 or 3 to 1 or 5 to 1, the back counting, you gradually relax your body. The basic meditation technique. And then after much practice, I have done it from Abdul Das. He had been a great teacher. So he taught us how to do the dynamic meditation thing.
So the dynamic meditation is a way in which you actually communicate with.
You can do it. If you know the basics of the dynamic meditation, then you can actually use anything. You can use the Kuber Mudra only, or you may just use a crystal object, anything. You sit with it and you focus on it, and then you meditate and you receive the messages. The brain gives you a lot of messages.
Is there any specific crystals that is
Quartz crystal?
category?
Quartz crystal is the best, or lapis.
Which one?
Quartz.
Quartz.
Natural quartz.
Uh-huh.
Quartz crystals are the best. So natural quartz you can actually take. So this is natural quartz. These are the natural quartz. So you can actually sit with it in your non-writing hand and you can meditate. This is also another. It looks like a skull, and it's said that it is believed throughout the centuries that skulls are very good communicators. They receive a lot of messages, which is probably definitely true, because when I meditate, at times I do sit with one of these skulls. The skull that is a stone skull. This is a lapis skull which I have. So I have received a lot of messages which is related to the past or the future. Or maybe at times I don't do anything at all. I just sit quietly and then I focus. And obviously that takes years of years of practice. And I get my messages.
Okay. So no, that's very interesting and wonderful that you can achieve that.
You can also do it if you learn it.
So this transpersonal way that you actually, it's looking inside, within, rather than outside somewhere.
Exactly. You look within, the brain guides you.
Mm-hmm.
It's your subconscious that guides you. It is not hallucination, which some people have asked me that is it schizophrenic or is it hallucination or something. No, it is not. If you know dynamic meditation, it's completely scientific. You read about Dr. Jose Silva, how he had to use the Silva mind control method.
Silver mind control.
Silva, S-I-L-V-A, Silva mind controlled method. Mind, Silva mind control method. So basically, you're doing self-hypnosis. You're actually taking normally your brain is at a certain frequency, functions at a certain frequency, and then while doing the dynamic meditation or while doing the meditation, you're taking the brain to a certain level, stage. Your brain frequencies they just go down, and the more the brain frequencies slow down, it becomes easy to open up the right brain hemisphere, to activate your right brain hemisphere. which is the intuitive mind, and it is, as we have learned from a teacher, the 95% of the brain, the right brain hemisphere. If you can activate some percent of the right brain hemisphere, you can actually achieve a lot of things. It can be, it's not only your willpower, it is the intuitive mind also. That's very much important.
Okay, so like there are these catalysts, like you said, quartz is a catalyst.
Yeah.
Like people say some in some communities, blood is a catalyst, for example.
And that's why, if you don't want to use blood, what I find
Vermilion.
is that they use sindoor.
Sindoor, vermilion.
Vermilion.
আর কি আছে এরকম আর কি আছে ফায়ার
Fire actually, the 5 elements of nature. So they use various things. Some use haldi.
আচ্ছা
Like for example, some of the things like haldi, vibhuti, or which is the ash, then chandan paste. Why do we see that people use various this kind of powders for activating certain things? Because this actually acts as a catalyst in some way or the other. So it's more of, and it is not magic. Believe me, magic is nothing but the intention of your self. So again, you're using your brain. Again, if you go to the spiritual science, which I find it is very much logical. There is nothing illogical about it, which people think it is very illogical. No. Magic is basically the intention, which you intend to do. So you put your intention. So you use your right brain and the left brain simultaneously, and you set an intention to do something. But keep it in mind, whatever you're doing, it can come back to you in many forms. You are doing harm to someone, it will come back to you in many forms. If you're doing good to someone, it will come back to you in many forms. But you have the right to protect yourself against evils, definitely yes. See, I have seen certain people, they use this concept of black magic. They say this is black magic. There are various things which they do with a very negative intention. For their vested interest, they harm someone or they do something, and whether it can be in any religion, and it is possible. People who are well aware of it, who have the knowledge of it, they do it. The dark side of Tantra also. Because if you see some tantric scriptures, if you read up some tantric scriptures, you will find the dark side of Tantra has all these things. And if you do this, there will be repercussions. So it is always better to avoid it. I have seen cases where they have invested their mind, they have invested their money to achieve their materialistic gains and maybe harm someone in the process. But in the long run, believe me, these things, while doing these things, you have to pay a price. And they have paid the price. I mean, real life examples I'm giving, I cannot take names. They have paid the price through their marital life, through their mental peace, through health issues, and job security, loss of wealth also. That is something one should not do. So that's why it is always said, if you're doing what goes around comes around, there's a saying. So like when you're setting an intention, if you are doing it for your own good, but keep it in mind that you cannot harm anyone around you. Do it in such a way that it only benefits you and doesn't harm anyone. And I have seen a lot of cases where they have made people suffer. Eventually, because of their own karma, or maybe the astrological chart, those people have suffered. Maybe because of the weak astrological timings, they have suffered. But eventually they overcome it. But the people who have done it, or they had actually applied it, they pay a heavy price.